Okay, I want to get real with you guys about what is not cool about Seattle. This is an area that a lot of people move to. A lot of people are not native locals to the area, and they can have bad surprises, disappointments, get frustrated and move away. I know a lot of people are coming here for work, and I just don't want people to come and not know what they're getting themselves into. We have a lot of great things here in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle is a great area. The whole region has been really popular for a long time, and there are good reasons for that. But honestly, moving to Seattle is not for everyone, and there are some bad things about moving to Seattle. I want to share some downsides about moving here so that you don't get caught unawares. If you can't handle these things about Seattle, then it might be best not to come. So I lived in Seattle all my life. I grew up here, I was born here, went away for college, and I came back. So I've seen a little bit of other places too, and that helped me appreciate what was different about Seattle. What I want to do today is share those things with you. On this channel, it's mostly for people who are thinking about relocating here. They want to get an idea for what the Seattle area is like, moving to Seattle, the pros and cons, the cost of living, all that good stuff is what I cover here. Big picture, and then we dive in on some different neighborhoods and suburbs, and once you know you're coming, where in this huge region is it that you want to call home. So if you are thinking about relocating here, make sure you check out the other videos on my channel, hit the subscribe button, and if you like a video, give it a thumbs up. That'll help other folks who are moving here. I am a real estate agent with HomeSmart Real Estate, so should you have any housing relocation needs, feel free to hit me up. Now, before I dive in too deep, I want to remind you that what counts as a pro or con fully depends on your perspective. If you're coming from Oklahoma, you're going to have a different perspective than if you're coming from Portland. A lot of people who are coming into the region are coming from other West Coast cities, oftentimes California, Silicon Valley jobs moving up, Portland, our kind of brother from another mother family down there in Portland, where they also have a Pacific Northwest vibe in many ways that are similar to ours. The Pacific Northwest is beautiful. It has a lot of mountains, lakes, rivers, outdoor stuff to do. We have a mild climate. We have lots of great jobs, and we have a very egalitarian, diverse population here. So there are lots of ways to have fun. I don't want this negative tone video to get you down. So don't lose hope. Just we're being realistic here, right? So the first thing that I want to tell you about as far as Seattle is the one you probably heard about, the weather. It is gray here. So we get a lot of overcast days throughout the winter. When you compare that to other places, you know, we don't have a ton of snow. We don't have a huge amount of inches of rain. We just get kind of drizzly and cloudy throughout the winter. Not as many clear, bright, sunny days. It's probably very much like London or Ireland if you've traveled to Europe at all, Portland, that type of thing too. So the nice thing is that the weather is fabulous in the summer. So if you are here in the summer, from about June to September, we have great weather. It's some of the best summers in the world. We don't have humidity. It's not too hot. There aren't a lot of bugs. There aren't afternoon rain showers. It's just dry, beautiful, sunny skies. Much more of a Mediterranean climate in the summer. Think visiting Italy or southern France, that type of thing. So my dad is from Milwaukee. He says the Seattle summers are the best in the world. Shh, we don't want everyone to know that. And as far as the winter weather, it is gloomy as far as the worst that I would say for it. So people deal with that by traveling to Arizona. You can fly out to Arizona for your vacation, fly out to Hawaii, or get a sauna in your house. Make sure you're taking 2,000, 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. I mean, your doctor will tell you, oh, you're in Seattle, you're not getting a lot of vitamin D from the sun. Make sure you supplement. I am not a doctor. Don't take that to the bank. Okay, the number two thing that I'm going to say about Seattle that's kind of a downside is the homelessness situation that's gotten a little bit wild here in the past couple of years. This is one of the first things that people tell me that they notice when they are driving from the airport to their hotel or wherever they're staying when they're here on like buying tours or vacations or that type of thing. So we are at the point now that we have a lot of spray paint along the freeway. What do they call that? Graffiti. We have homeless people in tents. We have car campers. So those are all things that were not really as much in evidence when I was a kid. I think the policies of the city have sort of allowed that to proliferate and attracted more people who are doing those behaviors. You know, I ask people, what's going on? Why does this happen? And you know, it's not clearing out homeless people from the areas that they're lingering. Now, if you look at across Lake Washington, if you look at Bellevue, it's a very different story. And in fact, real estate wise, the east side of Lake Washington on the Bellevue side, property values have been shooting up there. Businesses are relocating to there. So in terms of the effect of these policies, it seems like there's now a higher premium on being on Bellevue side, on the east side of the lake. That, you know, that wasn't necessarily the case 10 years ago, but that seems to be the direction that we're heading right now. The east side has fabulous schools, and they have a lot of these issues that I just mentioned locked down tighter, so it's not as big of a deal. So you drive the freeways through both downtowns, you get off and go around on the main streets of the cities and see if you notice a difference. It's not as much, I don't want to scare everybody, you know, it's not as much of a problem in a lot of the suburbs and the residential areas outside the city of Seattle. It's pretty much within the city limits and especially concentrated in downtown. So that's one to be aware of. The homelessness, drugs, and mental health issues. Number 3 is the high cost of living. This one really burns us, precious. It's horrible. It's really hard for people who are relocating here from other areas. Even Portland is not as expensive as we are. I guess some areas of California might be, but you'd think, you know, if you had $1 million, you could buy a really fancy house. Well, you know, after the real estate run up that we've had, $1 million just doesn't buy what it used to. In some areas, like Kirkland on the northeast side of Lake Washington, that's the median priced home. In other areas around the lake, Linwood, Shoreline, kind of north of Seattle, we're seeing median home prices around $800,000 or so. So it's, you know, that's subject to change. I'm sure it will go up in the future, but just to give you an idea or maybe a starting price, that's about what we're looking at right now. Other prices and cost of living issues to be aware of are the property taxes. So our property taxes are about, let's say if you have $1 million home, you would be spending about $10,000 to $12,000 a year in property taxes. So just kind of think of it, for every $1 million in property value, you're going to have $1,000 a month in property taxes. That can give you a good rule of thumb as you're estimating your housing costs and things like that. Gas is pretty expensive here. I'd say right now we're above $4 a gallon. We, you know, maybe just some of the cheaper areas of the country, their gas might be 50 cents to $1 per gallon less than what we have here. One thing that's good is that the utility bills tend to be very low. So if you're in a cold part of the country where you have to spend a lot of money on heating oil or firewood or something to heat your home, because of our mild climate, we don't need to put a lot into heating or cooling the house throughout the year. So a lot of homes here don't even have air conditioning installed. Like, we just open a window and we're fine. There are a couple days a year where you might be too hot, but for the most part, you know, I've never been chased out of my house or unable to sleep because it was too hot. Some people will say like, oh, it's too warm, I'm gonna go into my office where they have air conditioning. I'm gonna go to a public library or senior center where they have air conditioning. I'm gonna go swim down at the lake so I can cool off. You know, you could always take a shower or put a kiddie pool in your yard or something like that. But it's really not a big issue. And our electricity is very inexpensive here as well. The Columbia River on the southern border of Washington state has a lot of hydroelectric dams. The river travels through the state as well. So hydroelectric dams they use the gravity and the weight of the water to turn the water wheel and generate electricity. That's probably better on. And so with that electricity, they're powering the cities, and then they're exporting electricity to other states. But because we're local and it's our electricity, we get it for fairly cheap rates. So don't anticipate huge utility bills. That's a big plus. Another great cost-saving matter is that we do not have a state income tax. So this is fantastic if you're in a high-paying job. You'll still have to pay your federal taxes, but you're not paying anything to the Washington state government. So all of that income is yours to keep after you pay your federal taxes. Now, we do have some taxes that you still do have to pay. They get it from you on a sales tax. So we have a 10% sales tax. So if you buy $100 of stuff at Amazon, you're going to pay an extra $10 in sales tax. So that's a bummer. We have a couple other things like an estate tax. So if you're older and you think you might die in this state and you have a huge amount of wealth, then talk to your estate planning attorney about what to do about that. But for the most part, for your day-to-day living, the Chipotle index, the Chipotle burritos, chicken, no guac, cost about $7.50, $8. So a downtown meal, if you're eating lunch in the city, might cost $10 to $15. There are a lot of food trucks that you can take advantage of. But I think food-wise, it's maybe a little bit more expensive, but not significantly different from what I see elsewhere across the country. Just look out for the property values in the first place. Parking might be an issue especially if you're parking downtown. You're going to need to spend maybe $300 a month on parking. Maybe I'm living in the past and it's more now, but nothing is heinously expensive except the real estate. And so I think you won't have too many shocks as far as that goes. Now, one con that a lot of people feel that they would like to have, this is kind of a nice to have thing that we don't have in the city, is a strong sense of community. Some towns really rally around things, and Seattle does come together for certain things. For example, a couple years ago when the Seattle Seahawks football team won the Super Bowl, there was a big town parade. At New Year's, they have nice public displays of fireworks and people gather for that. Same with 4th of July, there are public fireworks displays and people gather. But there's not that Main Street, hometown, rah-rah football team on Friday nights kind of feel. One thing that seems to be lacking here in Seattle that is on the wish list for many people is a sense of community, camaraderie, people working together, coming together, maybe shopping on the walkable Main Street and that type of a thing. And frankly, the city is just too big, too spread out, too diverse. It's not a hometown core group that's been here forever and kind of keeps the traditions alive. It's more of a revolving door type of area. 1/3 of the population of Seattle is from Seattle, 1/3 is from elsewhere in the United States, and 1/3 is from a different country altogether. So just from a sense of local community traditions, everybody going in the same direction, that's not really what we have at this point. So if you are the type of person who wants that kind of hometown Main Street feel, you're going to need to look for it in a smaller community or suburb from the area. So walkable downtown, so you can walk around in downtown Seattle, but don't do it at night. You have the University District, which is its own community there, largely of college students. You have the Green Lake area, which has a wonderful walking trail, a lot of dog walkers, a lot of joggers, a lot of regulars who are very fitness oriented there, spend time outside, get to know each other through outdoor activities at the lake. We have Kirkland, Washington, which is on the waterfront, Lake Washington, over on the Bellevue side, which has a number of wonderful waterfront parks, marinas, and I think a lot of what it takes to have these sense of communities are, number one, a thing that gets people outside. Like, why would you leave your couch and your phone and go meet and spend time with other people? So one is this idea of the walkable downtown. You know, I can either walk there from my condo, I can park my car there, and I can get out and go have lunch. I can walk my dog, I can grab a coffee, I can get my hair done, I can go to the bus stop, I can pop in at the library. Having a lot of things to do within a walkable radius, a lot of attractions, a lot of things that pull people out in the summer. You know, grab an ice cream cone, sit by the waterfront, sit by the waterfall, kind of see and be seen. Having that vibe, having that critical mass of people who are out doing that rather than just driving by, going on about their business. So again, look in Kenmore, not in Kenmore, look in Kirkland, look in Edmonds, look in the University District, look in Wallingford and Fremont to some extent, look in West Seattle, look in Ballard. Linwood is kind of notorious for not having a good walkable downtown or sense of community. They have a lot of shopping, a lot of like the Alderwood Mall, and a lot of stores and restaurants and chains. There's a lot of things to do there, but people are not getting out of their car as much to do it. Everett is investing in their waterfront area and their historic downtown, so they're trying to make that nicer. Bothell has just completed a lot of work. Great new walkable downtown area, lots of fun. Bothell Landing is fantastic. I made a video on it. You can check out elsewhere on my channel. Like I said, the walkable downtowns, we're looking for community-sponsored events. A lot of those areas that I mentioned will have a farmer's market in the summer. They will have a 4th of July parade. They will have, little outdoor plays put on by their city council. Shoreline has some great outdoor theater, and they have summer music in the park where they have a local band or performer come in and do an outdoor show. It's free. Everybody sits on the grass and has a little picnic. So there are some events like that, but the area is so big and it's just hard to see familiar faces. Murraysville is another one. We went to their Christmas parade, which was really fun. It was a parade of lights, so they had all of these different trucks and floats and different things with Christmas lights on it. They had a bonfire at the park. They had little booths from the community. You could learn what different charities and nonprofits in the school district and everything were up to. So if that's something that's important to you, niche out into one of these suburban communities and don't rely on the big city of Seattle to help create those connections. It's not a strength of the city. This might sound slightly biased, but when I was going to college in the South, I found that people were, for the most part, very friendly, very polite, very well dressed, and more in your business, more willing to initiate conversation and tell you what to do. So I loved it. I loved it in North Carolina, and I had a really great time at college, but I point those things out because I think they were of particular contrast from what we're finding in the Seattle area. So Seattle is casually dressed, more keep to yourself, a little bit more, I don't want to say flat affect. I think historically maybe there's been more feminism here, so people are a little bit less willing to get up and, give you your seat, give you their seat, give their seat up to a pregnant woman or an elderly person. They're a little less likely to open the door for you, those types of things, because they've been trained that women don't need any extra help and women can do it on their own and that type of a thing. So, it's kind of a trade-off. Of course they can do it on their own, but it's always nice to do nice things for other people. So I think what I find is that people just tend to keep to themselves more. We're just off in our own bubble a little bit more. So there's, I really think people just tend to keep to themselves more. We're very self-sufficient. We're not mean. We're not outgoing either. We're not overly friendly. And this is a challenge, again, because a lot of people are new to the community. It can be hard to break in and have that, like, oh, you know, I'm welcomed, I'm here, I'm part of the group, feeling from the get-go. You won't be actively like excluded. There's not a big clique, but neither is there a big welcoming committee with cookies at your front door. So for example, when you move, you just want to, you know, take it upon yourself to be the one to go out and introduce yourself to the neighbors, go say hi. You just have to be proactive as far as reaching out to other people, letting them know that you're there and you want to participate in things with them. Also, Seattle is notorious apparently for people saying things like, oh yeah, we'd love to get together, we'd love to do this or that with you, and then never actually doing it. So again, if that happens to you, don't take it personally. You're going to want to be the one to, okay, great, in that case, what is your phone number? How can I get in touch with you? You know, when should we do this? Let's get it on the calendar. You just need to be proactive and take initiative. So those are some of the downsides about living here. You know, I'm sure I'll think of others and make more videos, but I just want people to be prepared and know what to expect. It's a great town, it's a great city, there's lots to do, there's lots of arts, there's lots of sports, there are lots of kids activities, but as far as the adult lifestyle, the community feeling is lacking. Join a club, join a church, go to an event, go to the park, meet your kids' friends, go to a private school. It's really about finding a place where people congregate. That might be people that you're interested in based on, you know, values, shared interests, hobbies, those types of things. And then go there on a regular basis, become a regular so that you can see the same people on a repetitive basis. That's what it takes, is to kind of you know, put in your clock hours, see people over and over again, and being the one to be friendly, to initiate conversation, to say hello, to get their number, to put something on the calendar. All of that stuff will not happen automatically here. You need to be the one to go out and do it.